It's week 14 of the NFL season, and here are my predictions for this week. But first, how did I do in week 13? In week 13, I was 8-5 in my predictions. Starting off the week on Thursday Night Football, we have the 2-10 Patriots versus the 7-5 Steelers. The Patriots are coming off of a 6-0 loss to the Chargers, and in their last 3 games, they have allowed 10 or less points in each game and have lost all 3. And in that game versus the Chargers, their running back Ramondre Stevenson suffered a high ankle sprain and will miss multiple games. And the Steelers lost 24-10 to the Cardinals. And in that game, Kenny Pickett suffered a high ankle sprain and had ankle surgery and will miss this game. But he is not expected to go on IR. And Mitch Trubisky is going to start this week. And with how good the Patriots defense has been the last few games, and with Kenny Pickett being out, I have the Patriots winning. Now moving over to Sunday, we have the 8-4 Jaguars versus the 7-5 Browns. The Jaguars are coming off of a 34-31 loss in overtime to the Bengals. And this was a very back and forth game, and every time the Jaguars scored, the Bengals would answer right back and tie it. Trevor Lawrence completed 22 of 29 passes for 258 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Evan Ingram had 9 receptions for 82 yards and a touchdown. And the Browns are coming off of another very disappointing loss, 36-19 to the Rams. In this game, the Browns defense had a really hard time stopping the Rams. And on offense, Joe Flacco looked pretty good, completing 23 of 44 passes for 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. But this season, the Jaguars are 5-0 on the road, and the Browns are 5-1 at home. This is a tough game to pick, but I have the Browns winning. Next, the 5-7 Buccaneers versus the 6-6 Falcons. The Buccaneers are coming off of a 21-18 win over the Panthers, and in that game, Baker Mayfield had 202 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception, and Mike Evans had 7 receptions for 162 yards and a touchdown, and this is now his 10th straight season with 1,000 receiving yards. And the Falcons won 13-8 over the Jets. In that game, Bijan Robinson had 18 carries for 53 yards and had 3 receptions for 26 yards. And on their defense, Bud Dupree had 2 sacks. And I think the Falcons are going to win this week. Next, the 7-5 Colts versus the 6-6 Bengals. The Colts are coming off of a 31-28 win over the Titans in overtime. In that game, Gardner Minshew had 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Michael Pittman Jr. had 11 receptions for 105 yards and a touchdown. And the Bengals are coming off of a 34-31 win over the Jaguars in overtime. Jake Browning completed 32 of 37 passes for 354 yards and a touchdown. And Jamar Chase had 11 receptions for 149 yards and 1 touchdown. This season, the Colts are 5-1 on the road, and I have them winning. Next, the 7-5 Texans versus the 4-8 Jets. The Texans are coming off of a 22-17 win over the Broncos. CJ Stroud had 274 yards and a touchdown, and Nico Collins had 9 receptions for 191 yards and a touchdown. And this season for the Jets, their offense has been pretty bad without Aaron Rodgers. Tim Boyle has started the last 2 weeks, and in last week's game, he completed 14 of 25 passes for 148 yards and had an interception. So I have the Texans winning this week. Next, the 6-6 Rams versus the 9-3 Ravens. The Rams have now won 3 games in a row, and in their last game, they beat the Browns 36-19. Matt Stafford had 279 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Puka Nacua had 4 receptions for 105 yards and a touchdown, and now has over 1,000 yards on the season. And the Ravens are coming off their bye week, and in the last game they played, they beat the Chargers 20-10 in week 12. But I think the Rams are going to win. Next, the 9-3 Lions versus the 4-8 Bears. The Lions are coming off of a 33-28 win over the Saints, and in that game, Jared Goff had 213 yards and 2 touchdowns, and rookie tight end Sam Laporta had 9 receptions for 140 yards and a touchdown. And the Bears are coming off of their bye week, and I have the Lions winning. Next, the 1-11 Panthers versus the 5-7 Saints, and the Saints will win this game. Next, the 6-6 Vikings versus the 5-7 Raiders. Both these teams are coming off their bye weeks, and I could see this game going either way. But Justin Jefferson has a possibility of coming back this week, so I think the Vikings are going to win. Next, the 6-6 Seahawks versus the 9-3 49ers. The Seahawks are coming off of a 41-35 loss to the Cowboys, and the Seahawks were winning this game late in the fourth quarter, 35-30, but gave up a touchdown with 4.5 minutes left in the game. But Geno Smith had a very good game with 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. And DK Metcalf had 6 receptions for 134 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the 49ers are coming off of a huge win, 42-19 over the Eagles. In that game, Brock Purdy had 314 yards and 4 touchdowns. And now on the season, Brock Purdy has 3,185 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. And Christian McCaffrey had 93 yards and a touchdown, and he is the first running back to have over 1,000 yards this season. And I have the 49ers winning this game. Next, the 6-6 Bills versus the 8-4 Chiefs. The Bills are coming off their bye week, and the Chiefs are coming off of a 27-19 loss to the Packers. The Bills lost their last game in Week 12, 37-34 in overtime versus the Eagles. Josh Allen had 339 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception, and had 9 carries for 81 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. I think this is going to be a great game, and it could possibly be very high scoring, but I think the Chiefs are going to win. Next, the 6-6 Broncos versus the 5-7 Chargers. Last week, the Broncos lost 22-17 to the Texans and snapped their 5-game winning streak. And the Chargers' offensive struggles continued, only scoring 6 points against the Patriots, but they still won. But I have the Broncos winning this week. On Sunday Night Football, we have the 10-2 Eagles versus the 9-3 Cowboys. The Eagles are coming off their second loss of the season, 42-19 to the 49ers. In this game, Jalen Hurts had 298 yards and 1 touchdown, and he also led the team with only 20 rushing yards and a touchdown. In this game, they could not get their run game going, only having a combined 46 yards rushing as a team. And for the Cowboys, they are coming off of a 41-35 win over the Seahawks, where they were down 35-27 in the fourth quarter and scored 14 unanswered points. Dak Prescott had 299 yards and 3 touchdowns, and CeeDee Lamb had 12 receptions for 116 yards and a touchdown. This will be a great game, and I could see it going either way, but I think the Eagles are going to win. And this week there is 2 Monday Night Football games. The first one is the 6-6 Packers versus the 4-8 Giants. The Packers are coming off of a massive win, 27-19 over the Chiefs, and have now won 3 games in a row and have moved up to the 7th seed in the NFC for playoff standings. And Jordan Love had 267 yards and 3 touchdowns, and A.J. Dillon had 18 carries for 73 yards. And the Giants are coming off their bye week. But with how good the Packers have been playing lately, I have them winning. Next, the 4-8 Titans versus the 9-3 Dolphins. The Titans are coming off of a 31-28 loss in overtime to the Colts. In that game, Derrick Henry had 21 carries for 102 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, and DeAndre Hopkins had 5 receptions for 75 yards and a touchdown. And the Dolphins are coming off of a blowout win, 45-15 over the Commanders. In that game, Tyreek Hill had 5 receptions for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns, and both of those touchdowns were over 60 yards. He had a 78-yard touchdown and a 60-yard touchdown. And now through 12 games, he has 1,481 yards and 12 touchdowns and is on pace for almost 2,100 yards in this season. And he is definitely in the MVP conversation. And I have the Dolphins winning this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Goodbye.